Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto x Sakura x Ino x Hinata, Narusakuharem, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. I'll show that boy that heroes really do exist, that hope is a good thing, not a tormentor. Naruto thought as he was all but training himself to exhaustion trying to, well, prove a point you could say. He was in Nami no Kuni and Inari had gone off on his, nothing matters especially you, tirade to the Konoha. Needless to say the whiskered blonde was not in a good mood. Sure, after hearing Tazuna he could understand why the kid was cynical, but he hated seeing people act like everyone was in heaven while they alone were in hell. Kid acts like he thinks he's the only one who ever went to bed crying. Brat, come cry to me after you lived my life, then we'll see who deserves to throw a tantrum. He angrily told himself. So now he was practicing what little taijutsu he knew and some tree walking for better chakra control, even if only slightly. But because of this anger at Inari and Gato and his own past in general, he was pretty much just venting out his frustrations than doing any actual productive training. Naruto. Sakura called out to him, making him freeze immediately. Yes. He asked, seeing her walk up to him, for once not looking like she wanted to clobber him. How much longer do you plan to be out here? She asked. Naruto looked away at nothing. Until I feel like I'm not going to yell at the kid anymore. Sakura was surprised. Yell. In the entire time she had known the blonde, he had been loud like he didn't understand the concept of volume, but he never really yelled at anyone. He nodded with closed eyes. Yeah, he kinda struck a nerve with me, talking like that, like everyone but him is happy with their lives. Well, he may be wrong, but it's not like he's unjustified in being unhappy. He did lose his father after all. Me, Sasuke-kun, and Kakashi-sensei all know what that feels like. Sakura defended, referencing her late father, the Uchiha massacre, and what she had heard of Hatake Tsukumo from a trusted source. Naruto opened his eyes and they didn't look friendly. They were still blue, but angry. And I lost my father too, Sakura-chan. No you didn't. You never knew yours. Sakura plainly blurted out. Now Naruto was madder. Oh, and I suppose that's supposed to make me feel better. He was being loud again, but now Sakura felt like for once he truly was yelling, not just trying to be heard. I'm supposed to be happy that I never knew my father. Or my mother. Or any of my family. It's better that I've been completely alone since the day I was born. That I've got absolutely nothing to be miserable about, while you all do. Sakura was stunned silent, surprised that Naruto for once wasn't his usual happy-go-lucky idiot self, and for once showed signs of having something to be resentful towards. I thought you liked living on your own. What on earth gave you that idea? He asked. Because you have no parents to tell you what to do. You hate having to follow the rules, so without parents you get to do whatever you want all the time. Sakura explained, not trying to upset him, just explaining what she always thought was the truth. Naruto turned around, not wanting her to see him cry. Sakura-chan, I'd gladly have parents who gave me 1,000 rules, if it meant I had someone to call mom and dad. Believe it, Sakura-chan, all the freedom in the world means nothing if you're lonelier than hell. This sure surprised the Pinkett. All this time, she thought he was just some spoiled out of control orphan and he liked it that way. To hear he didn't was unexpected. Well, I'm sure there's something about it you like. Naruto just rolled his eyes. Oh yeah, I just love the fact that I don't even know if my parents wanted me to be born. I'm absolutely giddy that no one was there to make me feel better when I was hurt and frightened. It's great that whenever I go home the only company I have is cockroaches. Thank you Sakura-chan for pointing out all the blessing that are raining down upon me. Wait a minute, that's not rain. Sakura frowned at his overly sarcastic tone. Don't get angry at me. Besides, where do you get off talking like you're the one who's suffered the most? Do you have any idea what I saw in town today? I saw a girl half my age wearing something you wouldn't give a bum begging me for food because no one else would give her any. I saw a girl our age, maybe a year or two older, actually working as a prostitute in broad daylight just to earn money. What do you have to say about that? Naruto looked at her so firmly Sakura actually faltered and stepped back a bit. Sakura-chan, I never said I was the only one who suffered. You however said I wasn't suffering at all. Well, you never once looked like you were, so how the hell was I supposed to know? She defended. Naruto gave her a hurt look. Sakura-chan, a smile doesn't guarantee happiness any more than a cloud guarantees rain. Sakura was quite surprised to hear him say something that even came close to philosophical. Heck, sometimes she was amazed his language skills went beyond more ramen. Apparently Naruto had more on his mind than she gave him credit for, and more on his heart than she took seriously. I'll leave you alone right now, Sakura said as she left. As she left she stopped for a bit. I don't know what else to say Naruto, she said before she walked off. Neither do I Sakura-chan, neither do I, Naruto said to himself as he went back to training. Days later Naruto and Sakura barely said another word to each other. Apparently they really didn't know what else to say to each other, and both seemed to be in a bit of a standoff, wanting the other to approach them first. Sakura found it extremely weird that after all the times she demanded he leave her alone, she was uncomfortable with him actually doing so. Later it came the day when Kakashi was fully mobile again, but unfortunately he predicted this was the day Zabuza was too, and Tazuna would be in danger. Team 7 was positioned at the bridge during construction hours to protect the old man, though Naruto was left behind because he had exhausted himself training last night. I guess he really is trying to prove something, Sakura thought as she stood close to Tazuna, her mind free to wander while her eyes kept watch for anything unusual. I'll give him some credit, he may not have as much talent as Sasuke-kun, but his determination is second to none. Too bad he wasn't there when Zabuza and his masked aide showed up and started a fight. Kakashi kept Zabuza occupied and the two seemed quite evenly matched. And Sasuke was trapped in a dome made of ice, created by a jutsu he couldn't copy or destroy so easily either. Sakura wanted to help, but she didn't know what she could do for either. All she could do was stand guard by Tazuna in case these two were a diversion so someone or something else could kill the bridge builder. Naruto, we need you. You're the only one who can help us now, Sakura thought, for once truly wanting her old annoyance to be around. Her wish was granted, and he showed up. Sorry I couldn't be here sooner, but some thugs were after Tsunami and Inari. But I beat them up. Your family's safe, Tazuna. The old man sighed. Thanks, kid. I owe you one, but we'll have to get out of this first. Naruto, go help Sasuke-kun. He's trapped in that ice dome, Sakura pleaded. Naruto looked to see the ice prison, and could see Kakashi fighting Zabuza in a blanket of mist. Knowing which one he stood a better chance against, he headed towards Sasuke. Sasuke, he shouted. Don't give yourself away like that. Sakura mentally groaned. Next thing she knew, Naruto disappeared and was replaced by Sasuke, who had a few Senbon sticking out of him, and Naruto's scream could be heard inside the dome. What did he just wait a minute, did Sasuke-kun just Kawarimi himself with Naruto to avoid a hit? Sakura asked herself, shocked by the idea but not entirely sure if it was something she should support or not. Naruto was very surprised to see that he went from outside the dome to inside in a mere second, while Sasuke went from inside to outside just as quickly. That wasn't the bad part though. The bad part was when hundreds of ice-cold needles embedded themselves in his skin from all directions, making him look like a human pincushion. Pained, he fell to his knees, then his side, trying not to yell. Luckily Haku was too stunned by this to add a follow-up attack right away, not to mention she felt bad about attacking this boy would had been nice to her in the forest days ago in the first place. Unfortunately she couldn't help him without disobeying Zabuza, and her master came first in all things to her. Naruto had a hard time moving, and an even harder time using his chakra to help heal himself here. Haku's aim had been too good at that one attack, these ice Senbon hitting many nerves and even a dozen tenketsu. Naruto's chakra system couldn't even incorporate Kyuubi's chakra, at least not right away. And one needles also impacted the seal's exact center. Guess I better finish him off. Sorry. Haku told herself, allowing herself to feel some grief for what she was about to do. Readying another Senbon attack, this one likely to put him out of his misery, she stopped when Naruto started to glow a silver-white color. Her moment of immobility stopped as soon as it came and she attacked again. Hyoten Thousand Needle Jutsu. The ice needles flew right at him, but when they hit him, they broke and bounced off, sounding like they were hitting metal rather than flesh. At the same time, the ice needles already in Naruto were melting, allowing his body to heal, and a touch of red chakra poured out mixing with the silver-white chakra. What on earth is this? Haku asked herself. She wasn't the only one wondering this. Zabuza and Kakashi stopped their own fight when they felt this. Sakura could even see light glowing from inside the dome, and Sasuke, who had been hoping to kill Haku from behind while she was distracted eliminating Naruto, stopped to see what was going on. This, whatever this is, it can't be the Kyuubi. Kakashi told himself. It feels nothing like evil. Naruto regained the ability to stand up and the glow around him took shape. A set of white wings were on his back and a sword was in his right hand, both which were made out of this strange silver-white chakra. His body itself was colored from head to toe in the same color, and it was impossible to tell where his clothes and skin separated. Also, there were red streaks all over him, forming a spiral on his stomach and rings at his wrist, ankles, elbows, knees, and down his spine between the chakra wings. What the heck is this? He asked as he looked himself over. Even he doesn't know. At least that means he can't use it against me or Zabuza-sama. Haku told herself before readying another attack. Since Senbon wouldn't work, she's have to try something a bit more lethal. Hyoten Thousand Kunai Jutsu. Multiple kunai made of ice were thrown at him from the many ice mirrors, and again Naruto couldn't dodge them all. Fortunately he didn't have to, since when they impacted his chakra aura they shattered like they were made of glass. Sakura couldn't see what was going on, but she could hear fighting continuing. Sasuke-kun, help him. Don't just stand there. The Rookie of the Year gave her an air, you stupid. Look then turned back to the renewed Kakashi vs. Zabuza fight, and smirked, clearly deciding that was more worth his time and effort. He tried to sneak into the mist to kill Zabuza from behind, but he was tackled by a large bulldog. This is out of your league, kid. The dog told him. Sasuke was not the kind of person who appreciated others telling him what his limits were or that he even had any to begin with. Get the hell off me, you mutt. Do you have any idea who I am? You're a kid who's trying to bite off more than he can chew. Let Kakashi handle this. Sasuke-kun, Naruto needs help. Sakura reminded her favored teammate. Ignoring her, Sasuke pulled out a kunai and tried to stab the dog, pinning him down. It saw this coming and jumped off, avoiding the hit, and looking very mad. mad enough that it jumped at him again and bit him hard on the leg. Back with Naruto, he could see that Haku's weapons were not affecting him, and he decided to try to fight back. Rather than try to catch up with the faster fighter, he took his light sword and struck one of the ice mirrors, cleaving it with ease. Nice, he said before doing this with the others, leaving Haku with fewer places to move around. Seeing this, Haku stepped out of her hiding spot and cancelled out the crystal ice mirror jutsu. You are quite strong, but I cannot allow you to interfere with Zabuza-sama's work. Why are you working for him? Naruto asked, staring down the false hunter Nin. Because I am his tool. He is the reason I am still alive. I owe him my life and will do everything in my power to see his wishes fulfilled. Naruto was immediately reminded of the boy, or girl, the person he met in the woods the day after he vented at Sakura, asking him if he had someone precious to protect, though he didn't understand why he just thought of that. How could you follow a man like him? Because he gives my life purpose. Can you imagine living yet having no reason to be alive? No one who values you or gives you something to look forward to. I lived like that for a long time, and then Zabuza-sama came along and gave me a purpose. You might deplore his methods and goals, but I'd rather be his tool than human trash. Naruto found himself unsure what to do. I understand completely. If I had been in your place I likely would have done the same. But unfortunately, I have a job of my own, and I must do it as much as you must do yours. Haku nodded. I'm sorry it came to this, Naruto. I wish there had been another way. Naruto's eyes widened. Wait, how did you know my name? Haku didn't answer. Instead she readied a different jutsu, one of her more dangerous ones. I don't want to kill him, but I will not let Zabuza-sama down. Please forgive me, Naruto, I wish we had been friends. She told herself, remembering their brief encounter in the forest days ago. Then she finished her hand signs. Hyoten River Entrapment Jutsu. From under the bridge emerged a pillar of water like something out of a geyser, and it appeared to be quickly freezing. Before it became solid, Haku sent its silent signals to try and capture Naruto. If it succeeded, he would be frozen solid in a situation no non-ninja could survive at all and few ninja could survive for long. Naruto jumped to dodge, and without meaning took to the air with his chakra wings. He was surprised as anyone else and almost fell out of the air. Fortunately his desire to keep avoiding Haku's jutsu gave him the state of mind to keep aloft. It was going well, until... No! He shouted when he saw it was about to trap Sakura and Tazuna instead. Acting on pure instinct, he swung his chakra sword and the freezing water technique shattered and dissolved in mere seconds. Whoa! Tazuna muttered. Sakura was more speechless. Naruto, thank you. Just who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? Haku asked herself. Where did he get this? Sasuke wondered. Meanwhile, someone else was alerted to this use of power. Is this what I think this is? An old man with one eye asked. It appears so. Someone has the power of a Valkyrie. A woman his age told him. But a living mortal. And a male. How is this possible? A younger maiden adorned in battle armor asked. Someone should go inspect this matter. A man in battle armor stated. But who? The one-eyed man asked. I think I know who. The maiden said. This boy is named Uzumaki. We have a Valkyrie named that too. Send her. The connection should make learning from the boy easier. It's worth a shot. The armored man claimed. The one-eyed man nodded. Very well. Freya, send Kushina Uzumaki to Earth to learn about this boy. Frigg, please ask the Norns if they can tell us anything as well. Yes, Lord Odin. The two women told him before departing, hoping to find answers to this strange development. Naruto still wasn't sure what he was doing here, but he was certain he had the advantage here now. Turning to Haku, he held his sword up. You still want to fight? It doesn't matter what I want. Zabuza-sama needs me to fight and I will fight for him until I am of no use anymore. The ice user answer. I don't want to do this. Naruto said as he turned the materialized sword. You are strong, but I cannot simply let you kill me as long as I have some use to Zabuza-sama. Haku said before readied herself to create another crystal ice mirror jutsu, hoping this time it could withstand his power long enough for her to find a weak spot on him. Anticipating this, Naruto swung his sword at his enemy, not wanting to kill her but wound her and make her stop this. He knew that as a ninja he was expected to kill, but he hadn't yet done that and a large part of him was hoping to delay doing so. Mostly out of fear that it would make him the monster so many were fond of labeling him as. The light sword missed Haku's shoulder but cut into her hair and broke the edge of her mask, nicking her left cheek a bit enough to make her bleed. The crack spread across the mask and then it broke off completely, exposing Haku's face to Naruto. The whiskered blonde silently gasped when he saw the fake Hunter Nin's face and stepped back. You're. Haku smiled gently and nodded. Yes, I'm Haku. I'm sorry. I had hoped we could have avoided any fighting, but it wasn't meant to be. Why didn't you kill me when you had the perfect opportunity? Naruto asked. If you really were just Zabuza's tool, you would have eliminated the threat before I had a chance to do anything. But you didn't, you made a personal choice to let me live. And that proves you're not a tool, you're a person, damn it, and you can make your own choices. Even here, Haku showed no change in her expression, but internally she was affected by his words. She did have a choice in killing Naruto or not that day she met him in the woods. At the time she rationalized her inaction as the wiser of two choices, saying he might have reacted sooner than she could attack and his death would have alerted his team all that soon and made things difficult for Zabuza. But on some level of her mind, she had spared him because she herself didn't want him dead yet. She just didn't realize it until now. Even so, I don't have a choice here. I must kill you. Naruto put down his sword. I don't believe that. There is always a choice, and I'll prove it to you. I sure hope this works. He thought as he closed his eyes and willed whatever he was doing to stop as if he was using regular chakra. In no time, the white glow faded and everything with it disappeared. Naruto was normal again. Haku was confused. What are you doing? Giving you back the ability to choose. Attack, or don't attack. Free shot. Your choice. Not mine, not Zabuza's, yours. What will you do? Naruto said before spreading his arms, just standing there making himself a target. Sakura could see him do this and was as astonished as Haku was. Naruto, what in Kami-sama's name are you thinking? I'm taking a leap of faith, and saving someone from themselves. He told his teammate without turning around to face her. Haku found herself having an unexpected yet very hindering dilemma. Her initial thought was to rush forward and cut Naruto's throat, but her body refused to respond. This has to be a trick. No one would do this unless they were suicidal or had a trick that requires the opponent to strike first. That must be what it is. And yet she saw no anticipation in his eyes and his hands were kept apart to make hand signs for jutsu impossible. But as she looked closer, she saw a sense of calm in his eyes instead of anything else. Either he's accepted his fate with serenity, or he believes I don't have the courage to do anything to him. Well, are you going to kill him or not? Sasuke shouted, and even Sakura could tell he was actually talking to Haku, not Naruto. Sasuke-kun, how can you say that? And why aren't you helping him? Like I'd waste my time helping the Dobi. I'm just watching to see what his power can do. If he wants to throw his life away like this, so what? It's not like anyone really wants him alive in the first place. Sasuke replied. Sakura was disgusted to see his apathy towards their teammate, but it wasn't just his words that got to her. Is that how I come across about Naruto? I feel like I'm looking at myself. Haku ignored all the side banter, trying to make herself do something. She did start a short set of one-handed hand signs and an ice kunai formed in her hand. She then lunged at Naruto and brought up her weapon, aiming for his neck. As she moved, he did nothing. She moved fast and true, and the kunai got right next to his skin. And then it just stopped. Haku just stood there, her body and arm trembling as she held the weapon close but not close enough to him. All he felt was a chill, no damage or pain. He didn't back away. He didn't move her arm from him. He didn't even breathe harder or sweat hard. Haku saw this, and despite this completely free shot she'd never get again in a million years, her body refused to cooperate. Her hand dropped the kunai which broke on the bridgestone and she collapsed on her knees, tears flooding down her cheeks. I can't do it. I can't kill someone like this. I'm not a murderer. Zabuza-sama, I failed you. Her weeping overcame her voice. Naruto knelt down and placed his hands on her shoulders. She did not reject his touch. What's wrong with not killing someone because it doesn't feel right? What's wrong with deciding for yourself instead of just doing what you're told? I can't serve Zabuza-sama anymore. I'm a disgrace, a broken tool he'll have no use for anymore. Serving him is the reason I live, and now I'm nothing more than a corpse that still breathes. You said he took you in and trained you, right? Naruto asked. Why would he do that if he was just going to get rid of you first time you couldn't do a job for him? Do you really have so little faith in your sensei? And even if he is like that, is that a man you want to give your soul to? You don't understand. No matter what kind of person Zabuza-sama is, he's all I have. Silver you can get is more valuable than gold you can't, and soon enough to you there's no difference between it and gold when it's all you can have. You have options, you have friends, you have a home. The one thing I have in the world is Zabuza-sama. I can't lose him. But you can have options too. Naruto said. Would you truly desire death because of a failure? Would your master truly be honored if you simply threw away your life without a fight? How can you look at me and tell me how to live? You don't know me, you don't know what I've been through. Seeing that no fighting was going on and that Naruto wasn't using his strange new power anymore, Sasuke approached and hit the side of his head hard, making Naruto fall onto his side. Enough with this crap. I always knew you were pathetic but I never knew you were this pathetic. Haku was shocked. How could you just attack your friend like that? Friend? That worthless waste of flesh. I have no friends, I have no family, I have no loved one. I am an avenger, and battle is all I live for. And you will be my first kill. Feel honored you died at the hand of your superior. Sasuke said, pulling out a kunai ready to drive it into her neck or eyes or where he could as long as it was lethal. Haku felt anger at this Konoha and briefly remembered her father, acting similar to Sasuke saying he could kill her and her mother because they were worthless compared to himself. In her anger her survival instinct overloaded her depression and she pulled out some metal senbon. Sasuke drove the kunai down and Haku blocked it with her needles, even using them like chopsticks to pin the kunai in place. Sasuke tried to compensate for this by pushing down harder, and even though the result wasn't immediate, it was clear Haku couldn't hold him back for long. Luckily she didn't have to, for Sasuke was tackled from the side by Sakura. Caught completely by surprise, the Uchiha was taken down by the Pinkett. Naruto had recovered and seen this, and he was even more surprised than Haku was. Sasuke-kun, what on earth were you thinking? Sakura shouted, not entirely certain what shocked her more, the fact he attacked Naruto so thoughtlessly or the fact he talked like being killed by him was a privilege. Uninjured except for his pride and a slight sting he felt on his side, Sasuke glared at his kunoichi teammate. Who the hell do you think you are? He then swung his kunai at her, and she reacted back, jumping back, but unfortunately not fast enough, and the end of the kunai drove itself into her left shoulder, though that may not have been what Sasuke had been hoping to strike. Sakura screamed in pain, loud enough that even both Kakashi and Zabuza briefly paused when they heard it. Zabuza worried it was Haku screaming, but couldn't confirm with the hidden mist jutsu in the way. The wind had dissipated most of it, but some still remained. Also, both were getting worn out fighting the other and knew trying to leave the fight to check would make them vulnerable to any sneak attack from the other. Naruto was free and rushed to help his teammate. He pulled Sakura away from Sasuke, kicked Sasuke in a stomping manner to keep him down, and held Sakura close. Sakura-chan. He saw the wound with the kunai still in it. Hold on. He ripped off his right sleeve, then pulled out the kunai. Sakura yelled, not as loud this time, and blood began pouring out. Naruto quickly wrapped his sleeve around the wound and started to apply pressure. Keep your hands on the wound. This should hold until we get you better help. Naruto, thank you, Sakura quietly said, for once not minding his closeness in the least. Kakashi and Zabuza had to stop fighting for a moment, both seeing their current strategies weren't working. Zabuza couldn't land a serious hit on Kakashi, and Kakashi couldn't land a serious hit on Zabuza. Only one thing could turn the battle in Kakashi's favor, and he was now ready to use it, although he was fairly certain he would only have one shot at it. You're a worthy opponent, Zabuza-san, but I'm afraid this cannot continue. The Cycloptic Junin stated, starting up a set of quick hand signs before gathering chakra around his right hand and forearm. Zabuza was stunned by it, swearing he saw actual chakra itself being used here, when in reality it was just standard lightning element manipulation. Behold, Reikiri. Kakashi then darted forward, hoping this jutsu strong enough to cut a lightning bolt in half would penetrate Zabuza's sword and if he was really lucky hit the missing nin too. Relying on all his experience, Zabuza darted forward with Kubikiribocho ready to cleave Kakashi in half during this brief time he was exposed. They both knew one way or another one of them would fall right after this last clash. Haku, who had been watching Naruto treat Sakura, saw her master possibly about to die and got up to go help him. Naruto saw this and knew exactly what she had planned. So you have no faith in your master at all, do you? The ice user froze, metaphorically but good word use if I do say so myself, and looked at the whiskered blonde. What? You know Zabuza's strength better than anyone, I'm assuming. Is he so weak that the only way he can get out of a battle is for you to bail him out? Naruto asked. Haku didn't reply immediately, but she didn't have to. In this time, Kakashi's Reikiri was reaimed from Zabuza to his sword and hit it at the base of the blade. The lightning blade was sharp enough and forceful enough to pierce through the metal blade while Kakashi briefly used the sword as leverage to deliver a spin kick to Zabuza's head. The former Kiri Nin wasn't as agile as the former Konoha Anbu captain and took the hit hard, resulting in him nearly falling off the bridge and his sword broke in half in the process. Not to say Kakashi got away without a scratch. Moving that way broke his wrist and he knew from this point on using more jutsu would be likely to kill him. And the end of Zabuza's sword did manage to cut into his left side deep enough to draw blood. Kubikiribocho had already tried using that blood to repair the damage it got from the Reikiri, but it didn't happen fast enough. Anyway, Kakashi was on his knees panting and clutching his left side while Zabuza was flat on the ground with his right arm broken from the impact. Zabuza-sama, Haku shouted, then dashed towards him. I should have moved sooner, then maybe he wouldn't be hurt. That boy distracted me, like he knew what I would have done. She knelt down beside him. Zabuza-sama. He laughed snidely and coughed up blood at the same time. Calm down, Haku. I've lived through worse. I should have been faster. I should have taken the hit for you. Haku wept, but stopped when she felt a light hit on top of her head. Not a painful one, just a tap to get her attention. And here I thought you got over those suicidal tendencies. I keep telling you you're no good to me dead. You can live without me. I can't live without you. Haku countered. Before Zabuza could reply, a sinister laugh could be heard. How disappointing, and here I thought you were supposed to be a demon. Zabuza immediately recognized the voice, and with the mist now gone could clearly see Gato standing at the end of the uncompleted bridge, with several armed goons behind him. Gato, why are you here? Zabuza asked, not liking the look of this. You failed, Zabuza, so change of plans. The short businessman answered. Actually, that's not exactly accurate. I never did intend on paying you for your work, I just now have a legitimate excuse for it. Hiring ninja is expensive and they may turn against their employer, especially fugitive ones, so I only hire the ones I can dispose of. Smart and cost-effective, wouldn't you say? All three members of Team 7 were surprised to hear this. Up until now, the idea that the employer could be an enemy too had never crossed any of their minds. Who is this monster? Naruto asked himself. Zabuza made himself stand up with his one good arm. Kakashi, now that I have no reason to attack the old man, I have no reason to fight you anymore. Tazuna heard this and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Kakashi struggled back to his feet too. You're right. So what do we do now? Isn't it obvious? Get rid of the midget. Naruto shouted. Midget. Gato repeated, infuriated. Yeah, midget. I mean, people call me short but I'm still young. So what's your excuse? Naruto yelled at the corrupt tycoon. Get him. Gato ordered as his men charged. Zabuza immediately grabbed what remained of Kubikiribocho with his left hand and stood in front of the goons, making them pause. Kids got the right idea, and I don't know about the others, but I intend to turn the guy who tried to stiff me into a stiff. With what? That broken knife? A random goon asked. A broken blade can still cut, especially when it's my blade. Zabuza warned before charging forward. Haku could only stand back and watch, knowing she was not suited to taking on a crowd this size. The Konoha nin watched in stunned awe as Zabuza moved with the speed and reflexes that could only come from experience, savagery, and fearlessness. His broken Kubikiribocho made excellent use of the blood it drew, using the iron in the blood to rebuild itself little by little from the base of the blade. And while the Konoha nin couldn't understand how the sword was doing it, they did see the fact it was repairing itself the more it was used. In less than a minute, all of Gato's goons were dead, some still on the bridge and some fallen off it, and only Zabuza was still standing. He had broken weapons sticking out of him in random spots and he looked exhausted just standing under his own power, but he was still alive and glaring at Gato. At that moment, the citizens of Wave led by Inari showed up with whatever they could find as a weapon. They were shocked by the bloodbath remains they encountered, but seeing Gato made them too angry to focus on anything else. Gato, leave our country at once and never return. Several citizens shouted out, no longer sounding afraid of him. Instead, Gato was the one who was quivering. Can't we work something out? Yes, you die and we don't. Sound fair? Zabuza said, coughing up more blood. By now his facial bandages were torn off so he wouldn't risk choking on his own blood. Seeing only one way out, Gato tried to run. Unfortunately Zabuza was the better runner of the two and caught up to him. Swinging his executioner's sword, he decapitated the shorter man with ease. The momentum of everything made both the head and body of Gato fall into the sea, never to be seen again. Out of energy and taxed by combat, Zabuza finally let himself collapse and rest. Haku rushed towards him, seeing he was far from fine. Zabuza-sama, don't move. I'll get you somewhere where you can heal. The missing nin smirked. Haku, we both know moving me would only make me lose more blood. Haku looked at the crowd, who were cheering that Gato was finally gone. She even thought she heard a chorus of, "Ding dong, the witch is dead," start up. Is anyone here a doctor? She shouted, hoping someone better at treating wounds than her was here. Unfortunately, no one could hear her. No one except the Konoha ninja. Team 7 stepped forward, with Kakashi being supported by Naruto after covering his Sharingan again. Is he okay? Sakura asked, still using her hands to apply pressure to her own wound. Please, I know we were enemies not more than 5 minutes ago, but I beg of you, help me save Zabuza-sama. Haku pleaded on hands and knees. Being the most mobile and hands-free ninja at the moment, Sasuke stepped forward, but instead of pulling out his personal first aid supplies, he pulled out a kunai and jabbed it into Zabuza's chest, cutting into his heart. Everyone gasped at seeing this, even Kakashi. Sasuke, why did you do that? Naruto shouted. Now I can say I killed a rogue nin, and with witnesses no one can ever say I didn't. The dark-haired Avenger calmly answered, sounding like he did something to be proud of. Haku saw red and reacted by punching Sasuke in the jaw so hard it reminded Naruto of the times Sakura hit him. In fact, everyone could hear his jawbone breaking from the hit. But before she could do more, Kakashi hit a pressure point on her that made her pass out. Naruto looked at Zabuza, who was still alive albeit barely. You know Haku practically worships you. If you die, what's he going to do now? Zabuza looked right at Naruto. Kid, whatever happens, please give Haku a reason to live. I don't want to see her join me in the afterlife for a good long time. If she dies soon, I will come back and kill you. Naruto looked nervous but nodded. I swear Zabuza Momochi, that Haku will not die for a long time. Zabuza smiled and closed his eyes. Thanks, kid. Then he breathed no more. Everyone looked at him and gave him a moment of silent respect. The moment ended quickly thanks to Naruto. Wait, did he say Haku was a girl? Throughout the town there was a party of Mardi Gras proportions, and despite the fact that townspeople originally barely had anything to their names that morning, somehow they got a good supply of alcohol passing around and music blaring, and overall a good time was had despite the lack of luxury in it. Team 7 however were not a part of it. Kakashi was exhausted and knew he'd need no less than a week to return to normal, his Sharingan taxing him if nothing else, and Sasuke was sedated so Tsunami could mend and set his broken jaw. Though he wouldn't be able to talk or eat solid food until they got him back to Konoha with him like this. As for Naruto and Sakura, that night they were working to give Zabuza a grave while Haku watched and kept near the body, still silently weeping. Sakura looked at Haku then to Naruto, who wasn't wearing his orange jacket right now. Naruto, I think you should talk to Haku when we're done. She whispered. He nodded. I know. Also, I'd like to talk to you too when you have the time. She added. He looked a bit confused here, but not without reason. Usually Sakura hated it when he tried to start a conversation, and now she actually wanted one. Why, I'll tell you when we're alone, she said, focusing her eyes back on their digging. Suddenly she found it hard to actually tell him what she wanted to. Naruto nodded and pressed no further. After a while, the grave was big enough and deep enough. We're ready, Naruto told Haku. The ice user was still reluctant, but allowed Naruto to make some clones and place the body in the grave. She formed some flowers made of ice and placed them on Zabuza's body before the clones started covering him with dirt. Sakura spoke to Haku without looking at the grieving girl. Hey, if you need another girl to talk you, feel free to do so with me. I may not know you well, but I suspect you might enjoy some fellow female company. Haku didn't respond, but at least gave no indication she had no interest in the offer. Sakura walked away, and the two remaining at the grave at first didn't know what to say. Naruto had no idea how to console someone who was grieving, and Haku felt slightly bitter towards him for keeping her from saving Zabuza in the first place. I understand if you hate me, Naruto said, surprising the girl. I mean, I tried saving your life but it cost him his. Why wouldn't you be angry? Why me? Why did you do it? You could have let me die twice already, yet you didn't. I was returning the favor. He told her. She turned to him. That's it. Simple as that. No, but isn't that reason enough? Haku shook her head. No, it isn't. Why did you really interfere with my role? Why did you force me to live without Zabuza-sama? I didn't plan on him dying. But I figured you had no reason to die yet either. I mean, you're 2 years older than me at the most. You still have your whole life ahead of you, and Zabuza wants you to live it. Are you really going to make his sacrifice worthless? No, I can't do that, but I don't know what else I can do. Why don't you talk with my sensei? I'm sure he might at least have some ideas. Just please let me know what you decided on. Naruto told her. Then he stepped away. I'll leave you alone for a bit. If you need to talk, I'm available. He then walked away. Haku, alone, looked at Kubikiribocho left next to the grave. They said it rightfully belonged to me now. I guess that's a sign they're not against me. If they were, they'd just confiscate it and keep me bound and gagged for who knows what their village does to my kind. Maybe this is a test, because now they know my face and some of my history. I could run off then be hunted by their village for the rest of my life, or kill them first and risk being killed now before I succeed. Or maybe, just maybe, these guys really mean me no harm. I'm so confused. She shook her head to clear her thoughts, then grabbed the large sword's handle. But there's one thing I'm not confused on. This is Zabuza-sama's sword, not mine. Even in death, it is his. With that, she drove the tip into the still soft soil from all the digging and create a sort of grave marker for her deceased mentor. Rest in peace, Zabuza-sama. Thank you for giving me a reason to live. With that reason gone, I don't know what to do anymore. What should I do? But of course, he could offer no answer. The walk to Tazuna's house from Zabuza's grave took about 15 minutes. Not surprisingly, Sakura and Kakashi were waiting for Naruto when he showed up, though Kakashi was resting on the sofa whereas Sakura was seated by the table. Naruto took a deep breath. Before either of you ask, no, I have no idea what that white light thing earlier was. I've never done anything like that before and never heard of anyone who could. I was kinda hoping you knew something, Kakashi-sensei. The silver-haired Junin shook his head. That was unlike anything I've ever seen. But since we don't know the origin, can you at least describe what it did for you, Naruto? The blonde thought it over, trying to recall everything he could. I was hurt before it happened, and I think I couldn't call on my chakra at all for a moment. Not even in your special reserve? Kakashi asked. Naruto got the message and nodded. Yeah, I think. Special reserve. Sakura repeated, confused. What's that? Let's call it a birth defect of mine. Naruto told her. I have enormous reserves, and probably more chakra than most of our Junins, even Kakashi-sensei. Sakura was wide-eyed. Really? Sounds like a blessing rather than a defect. Naruto looked down, forlorn. Trust me, Sakura-chan, it's anything but a blessing. Why? Because it screws up my control and makes performing half of all ninjutsu and virtually all genjutsu impossible for me. I failed the academy clone jutsu not because I'm untalented, but because of a physical disability. And it makes most of the ninja resentful towards me because they hate seeing someone young like me surpass them like this, so I've never had a proper teacher show me how to get better. I learned the shadow clones completely on my own. Sakura was silently surprised. I knew his solid clones couldn't be an easy thing to learn, but I never thought about how he learned that but failed the academy version. Kakashi mentally smiled. Good cover Naruto, avoid the complete truth by telling enough to be acceptable. Sakura cleared her throat. And this had nothing to do with that white light, angel armor thing you did. I don't think so. The whiskered blonde answered. Can you do it again? Naruto didn't look forlorn anymore, and thought it over. Maybe. Here goes nothing. He closed his eyes and tried calling on his chakra like he did know how to do. Nothing happened. Maybe it needs a specific trigger. We'll have to test it out later when I'm up to the task. Kakashi sighed before sighing tiredly. But for now, you two just stay out of trouble and try not to fight with each other. No need for another of us to be out of commission. Naruto sighed. Alright then, I'll just go out and get some fresh air then. He then turned away. Naruto, can I go with you? Sakura asked. The blonde stopped in his tracks and turned towards her. Wouldn't you rather nurse Sasuke back to health? He sounded genuinely confused, not jealous or spiteful. He's not going anywhere for a while. Please. I just wanted to talk to you for a bit. Sakura answered. Still confused, Naruto nodded. Alright. Kakashi was pleased to see them act like this and leave the house peacefully. Looks like all that teamwork effort hasn't gone to waste. And now I have some peace and quiet. Naruto and Sakura were walking away from the house in Zabuza's grave. They were on the edge of a forest and outside the town's boundaries, and it was already night. But as ninja, neither were afraid of anything happening to them. Sakura-chan, if this is about me hurting Sasuke, I'm sorry. I was just trying to do my job. Naruto told his teammate. Sakura was confused. Naruto, you didn't hurt Sasuke-kun. I saw the whole thing, you never did anything to him. So why did you say that? I don't know, isn't that the whole reason you wanted to talk to me? To tell me what I did wrong to your precious boyfriend and how stupid I was. Sakura frowned but sighed. I guess I deserve that. But trust me Naruto, I'm not at all angry at you. Instead, I'm concerned. Really? He asked, confused but not unpleased. She nodded. Yes, something strange happened to you and we don't even know if it's a good thing. Also Sasuke-kun used you to take a hit for him. Aren't you hurt from that? Naruto shook his head. Not anymore. I've always been a good healer. I'm more concerned about your injury. Sakura gingerly touched her wound, now properly bandaged up. Naruto's sleeve was being resewn onto his jacket by Tsunami. Thank you for helping me by the way. But still, why did Sasuke-kun do that to us both? We're his teammates. Naruto looked hesitant. You really want my opinion on that? She nodded. Fine, but no hitting. You asked me after all. He sighed to give him a chance to put his thoughts into the proper words. Personally, I think he was pissed that he wasn't kicking Haku's ass like it was nothing. He was struggling just to stay even with her and he hates thinking he can't win. I mean, come on Sakura-chan, I know you love the guy and all, but even you have to admit Sasuke does have a bit of an ego on him. Sakura was about to deny this, but once she opened her mouth no words would come out. She then closed her mouth and eyes and nodded. Yeah, he does, I admit that. But I always thought it was justified. I mean, he was Rookie of the Year after all. Naruto sighed wearily. Sakura-chan, that only mattered back in school. This is the real world. Did you think Zabuza or Haku cared he was the best in our class? Hell, remember how Zabuza became a genin by killing everyone else in his class? If Sasuke had been in the same class as Zabuza, Do you think Zabuza would have spared him? Sakura gasped in horror at the thought. If that happened, it would have definitely been a duel to the death, and I'm not even sure Sasuke-kun could have won that one. Naruto looked away from the pinkett towards the horizon, almost as if he couldn't look her in the eyes for what he was about to say. Sakura-chan, I know Sasuke is a hotshot in Konoha. I never forgot, considering no one ever lets me forget my lot in life. But what you and he forgot is outside Konoha he's just another genin to the rest of the world. He has no real experience in these sort of things, and that makes him more vulnerable to threats. And unless this team stays together, he always will be. What do you mean? Sakura asked, finding herself impressed by Naruto now. He sounded so unlike what she expected of him, it was a welcome change to her. Sakura-chan, remember how Kakashi-sensei said we're placed in teams to improve our teamwork skills and get used to working with others? Naruto asked. Sakura nodded. That's not the only reason. Gigi once told me it's also a safety precaution. When one of us is attacked or in danger, the others come forward to help them, and they in return will be helped by the others. From there, trust and teamwork will grow naturally. Sakura took this in and found herself agreeing with the logic. She already found herself trusting Naruto a little bit more than before thanks to him treating her wounds, and Sasuke a little bit less for giving her that wound in the first place. That last part made her think of something else. But what if we don't help each other like that? Naruto shrugged. I think the answer's obvious. Naruto? Sakura asked, getting him to look back at her. I know Sasuke-kun did something wrong, but we should still give him another chance. I don't want our team to fall apart so soon or easily. Naruto closed his eyes and slowly nodded. Yeah, you're right. But Sakura-chan, for this to really work, I need you to stop hitting me so much. I get it that you love Sasuke and not me, but can't you at least treat me like a friend? Sakura was confused. I already treat you like a friend, Naruto. The whiskered blonde gave her an irritated look. Do you punch all your friends? Because I've never once seen you hit Ino. He then crossed her arms, as if challenging any denial. The pinkett didn't know how to react, but looked quite upset and hung her head. I'm sorry, Naruto. I thought it was okay since my mother told me it was okay to hit you. You're right that I never did hit Ino Pig before. She then turned her back to Naruto. I doubt you'll forgive me, but I truly am sorry. I forgive you, Sakura-chan, but why the change of heart? Naruto asked, looking at her. He still cared very much for her and was curious as to why she suddenly apologized. It was during the battle, when I saw Sasuke-kun being so callous towards you. I think I saw the person I was becoming. I don't want to be that person. Sakura turned around with tears starting to form in her eyes. How can you forgive me so easily? I've done nothing worth forgiving and you forgive me as if I've done nothing wrong. Why? Because I like you, Sakura-chan. I don't want to hold a grudge against you. He answered. Sakura felt her heart ache at what she felt was undeserved admiration for herself. But why do you like me? Why don't you hate me instead? Because you're similar to me. He told her, surprising her. You were picked on a lot when you were a kid like I was. No one wanted to be your friend, everyone made fun of you, and everyone said you had no future as a ninja. I was in the same position, then I saw you made friends with Ino and I thought if you could do that maybe I could make friends too. But why were so persistent? If I had been you I would have stopped the first time someone hit me. She asked. Naruto sighed. I already lost my chance to be friends with the other girl who was being bullied thanks to her family. I didn't want to lose any chance to be friends with you. Other girl? Sakura asked herself. The only other person I can remember being picked on back then was. She mentally gasped. Hinata. Naruto tried to be friends with Hinata first, but her family stopped him. This doesn't make sense. She cleared her throat. Naruto, do you remember who that girl was? He shook his head. No, I was beaten up pretty good that day and got a concussion from it. All I can remember is that it happened, but I can't remember anything about who was involved except that the girl had dark hair. When I woke up in the hospital, I was given a note by a masked dark-haired man that said if I came anywhere near that girl again they'd gut me like a fish, and even the Hokage couldn't stop them. Sakura was so horrified at hearing that she actually tasted bile. Why? Why would someone make such a threat to you when you were just a kid? What kind of monster says that to a child? They weren't the only ones. If I told you half the threats I've received, you wouldn't sleep tonight. But why do they threaten you like this? Your pranks can't be that bad. Sakura countered, looking for something rational here. It's not because of my pranks. He answered simply, turning away. It's never been because of my pranks. Then why? Sakura pleaded, desperate to know. Naruto took a moment to reply. Why don't you ask your mother why she wanted you to hit me all those times first? Sakura could see him lightly quivering. Is he crying? Or trying not to cry? Acting without realizing what she was doing, she hugged him from behind, feeling him tense up upon contact. Naruto, I promise I will be a real friend to you from now on. I won't hit you again, even if mom says otherwise. I may even take you up on your date offer before we go back to Konoha. He put his hand on hers. Sakura-chan, don't pity me like that. You still want to date Sasuke after all. I'll decide who I want to date, Naruto. And if I have to choose between the boy who stabbed me and the boy who helped me, I'll go with the second one. The pink kid told her teammate. It's the least I can do to be a real friend. Thanks, Sakura-chan. That means a lot to me. Neither team did anything that night since they had no idea what they even could do, so they went back to Tazuna's house. Haku chose to stay a bit longer, having no idea where to go from here. She slept in the same room as Sakura, but the two barely had anything to say to each other. Naruto slept on the couch in the living room, wanting to give Kakashi some quiet and some space away from Sasuke, who still was in a bad mood from the battle. He slept comfortably, but a knock at the door woke him right up. Who'd show up this early? He asked as he rubbed his eyes and stretched, then opened the door. Yes. It took a moment for his eyes to focus from the sleep and in the morning light, but he saw two adult women about Tsunami's age in front of him. Both had long hair flowing to their hips, but one was scarlet and the other was golden. The redhead had violet eyes and wore a purple housewife dress, and the blonde had red eyes and wore a royal blue tunic dress. Uzumaki? The blonde woman asked. Is your name Uzumaki? The blonde woman repeated. Naruto reflexively tensed. Yes. Why? Both women smiled. I've got something for you. The blonde added. What? Naruto asked, curious. Your mother. The redhead answered. Me. Naruto looked at these women in front of him, particularly the one who claimed to be his mother, and did something that once again demonstrated his reputation as unpredictable was deserved. Nice try. He then closed the door. On the outside, the two women were quite shocked. They weren't entirely sure what to expect, but this certainly wasn't it. On the inside, Naruto clenched his eyes, teeth, and fists. I will not go through this again. I will not. Since the door wasn't locked, the blonde woman opened it. That was rather rude, you know. He gave her an angry look. Get lost. This wasn't funny when I was a kid and it's not funny now. What are you talking about? Kushina asked. Like I'm going to talk to complete strangers about my past. Now get lost already. He all but yelled. I'm afraid not, young man. The blonde stated. We've come a long way and we're not going to turn around just because a child tells us to. Now, Answer our questions. Naruto's glare unnerved them both. He glowered at them both like he loathed them down to the very core of their souls for an offense they didn't understand. But he also had tears brewing in the corners of his eyes, which were starting to turn red. Kushina stepped forward, but Naruto threw a kunai at her then ran upstairs. Kushina's quick reflexes allowed her to catch the weapon, and she gasped when she did. He was aiming for my heart. What happened to make my baby this way? We better find out. But that look in his eyes tells me we may have opened a festering wound. The blonde told the redhead. Kushina tried to run upstairs, but halfway upstairs she ran into someone and both fell down. Kushina suffered the worst of it because she fell down the stairs, but she wasn't hurt. Sorry about that, she said before she even saw who her obstacle had been. She looked up the stairs and saw a man with silver hair and a black mask on half his face. Wait a minute, Kakashi-kun. Kakashi saw her and immediately recognized her. But like Naruto, he didn't believe this was the real Kushina. Who are you and why are you disguised? He got up and took a defensive stance, ready for the worst. I'm not disguised. It's really me, Kushina Uzumaki. Nice try, but I knew the real Kushina and she's been dead for 12 years. I know, but I'm back on business. Kakashi scoffed. Sure, you came back from the dead on business. Happens all the time. My father was in Konoha last week to oversee construction of a new building. I know how it sounds, but as Freya is my witness, I am telling you the truth, Kakashi Hatake. The blonde waved to the masked Junin. Hi, I'm Freya, one of the veneer goddesses. Never heard of you, so excuse me if I doubt you're any kind of goddess. Kakashi told her. Enough. I just want to speak with my son. Kushina insisted. Looks to me like he doesn't want to speak with you. And given what happened to him, I'm not surprised. Kakashi replied. What are you talking about? Kushina asked. I'm not convinced you are the real Kushina, and until your identity is confirmed one way or the other, I'm not telling you a damn thing about that boy. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura called out to her teacher, making him turn to face her. What's going on? I just saw Naruto jump out a window and run off into the woods. Damn, he did exactly what I feared he would do. The cycloptic Junin moaned. Sakura, Naruto's not in the best of moods right now. You should probably go find him to make sure he doesn't do anything foolish, and for your own safety don't hit him for any reason. He might retaliate this time. If you must, take that Haku girl with you since she might prove useful in keeping him under control. Sakura didn't know what bothered her more here. The fact that her sensei was so quick to believe she'd hit Naruto when he was down, or his worry that for once Naruto might hit back. I'll try, but what about Sasuke-kun? Shouldn't he help? Absolutely not. Kakashi ordered. Sasuke would only make things worse, even with his jaw shut. You two go find Naruto, Sasuke will stay here with me in case I need backup. You aren't planning on fighting me, are you, Kakashi? Kushina asked, itching to go after her son but staying put since she knew that would only make her look worse here. If I must, I must. Sakura, go, now. Why yes, sensei. The pinkett said before disappearing down the hall to get Haku. How can I prove to you I'm the real Kushina, Kakashi? Kushina asked. You should already know how to do that, Kushina. He told her, sarcastic in the name use. Within a minute Sakura and Haku were outside heading in the direction Sakura saw Naruto run towards. Haku was not hard to convince, though she hadn't said why. Thanks for doing this. I've heard that Naruto can give even the Anbu trackers of Konoha trouble. Sakura told the Hyoten user. Well, you're in luck. Tracking was one of the many things Zabuza-sama taught me. I'm sorry for your lose. I know I shouldn't be, given his background, but I guess even criminals have family that mourn their deaths. Haku looked a bit melancholy at that, to say the least. Everyone's done something they're not proud of, but Zabuza-sama did have his reasons for the path he took. What kind of reason did he have? Sakura asked, curious about the reasons for becoming a wanted fugitive. While she was aware that ninja did occasionally turn rogue, she had never actually heard why that is, except for those like Itachi escaping the law. To stop the blood feuds. Haku said. What blood feuds? Was it against your clan? No, it was against bloodlines in general. After the Third Shinobi War, the people of Kiri began to see anyone with a bloodline such as Hyoten as evil. It didn't matter who or how old they were, if you had a Kekkei Genkei, you were demon spawn to them all. And a few years ago, the Yondaime Mizukage decided to exterminate all of us with them. How did you survive? I escaped when my father was trying to kill me after he already killed my mother. I lost control of my Hyoten and killed him and his entire group. After that I ran off, and it didn't take long for me to find a place where no one knew who I was or what I had. Problem was no one wanted to help a street urchin, which is what I became. No one until Zabuza-sama came along and gave me a purpose again. Haku said as they entered a clearing. Hey, this is where I first met Naruto. Sakura looked around but didn't see the whiskered blonde. Too bad he's not here now. Like I said, this may take a while. Tell me more about him. Haku said when they continued their search. What would you like to know? Sakura asked. Just what kind of person he's like. Zabuza-sama asked him to take care of me, but I'd like to know if he's the kind of man I want to receive care from. Aren't you old enough to go out on your own anyway? Haku sighed sadly. Old enough I am, and capable of surviving I am too. But, I hate being alone. That's why Zabuza-sama entrusted me to him, because he hoped a boy kind enough to spare my life is the kind of person I'd want to live with. You barely know Naruto and you're already considering the idea of being with him on a regular basis. Wow, you must really hate being alone. Sakura commented. The worst time of my life was when I was abandoned and invisible to others. I'll do anything to avoid repeating that. Besides, are you saying Naruto-san is a poor choice of company? To be honest, he's not my first choice for company, but I can no longer say I hate it when he's around either. Sakura admitted. Haku arched an eyebrow, but she came to a stop and crouched down. His footprints disappear here. He probably took to the trees from this point. Finding him just became harder but not impossible. I just hope he doesn't get himself hurt. Sakura said. So tell me what you mean by, no longer. Haku asked. Oh that. Well, it's a long story. I've got time and we're not searching solo. So start talking. What are your thoughts on Naruto? Haku asked Sakura. I'm still not sure what to think about him. He was the doby of the class, and mom always said to keep away from him since he's a bad influence. Sakura answered the Hyoten user. Even though he's my teammate, I don't really know that much about Naruto. I don't think anyone in Konoha does except the Hokage and this one girl who has a crush on him. He has no family and so few friends, and to be honest up until yesterday I never really wanted to be his friend. Why not? What's so bad about him? Haku asked curiously. By force of habit Sakura came very close to getting into an anti-Naruto tirade, but out of consideration for him and in case he was listening, she took a deep breath and tried to compose her thoughts to be objective rather than judgmental. I'm not the best person to answer that question. For a long time, I hated the mere fact Naruto even existed. There was even a time where I wished he had died in the Kyuubi attack on Konoha 12 years ago. Haku's eyes widened then narrowed bitterly. But he himself is only 12. He would have been a baby at that time or still in the womb. You hate him so much you'd wish death on him when he was a baby. She saw Sakura hang her head with a tear running down her cheek. I really want to slap you and call you a bitch right now for that, but I will give you this one chance to change my mind. But keep in mind I speak from experience that being born different is not a crime. Sakura looked back at the Hyoten wielder, eyes still wet and full of regret. I have no excuse for my old ways. I was a bitch. I just didn't know it until yesterday when Naruto opened my eyes. I used to hit him all the time for any reason and I insulted him left and right. Why? Haku asked, hostility still in her voice. Not because of any affection to Naruto, but because she couldn't stand the idea of someone being victimized undeservingly. And until she had reason to believe otherwise, she was not going to just assume Naruto deserved to suffer. She was not her father. Part of it was because he did annoy me, and I wasn't interested in being more than friends like he was. Sakura added. Haku scoffed. Sounds more like you weren't interested in being friends in any sense of the word. True, I didn't. I mean, I didn't intend to be so bad to Naruto. I just didn't care about him at all. Haku frowned. No, that's not true. If you truly didn't care about him, you wouldn't let him get to you. You would ignore him, avoid him, or at least ask him to leave you alone. I did ask him, Sakura countered. Did you? Haku inquired, sounding like she didn't believe the pinkett. Did you really ask, or did you just tell him? What's the difference? Sakura asked. Let's say the boy you like kindly requested you to not bother him. Would you do it? Haku asked. Sakura slowly nodded. And if he just looked at you and said, get lost, would you do that so easily? Haku added. Sakura looked down again. She knew from experience what her answer was. Sasuke had already done just that, but did she heed his words? Obviously not. Sasuke had ignored her left and right and on occasion told her directly to not be around him, but she left him alone no more than Naruto left her alone. No, I didn't. So I guess I have no right to criticize Naruto for doing the same thing I myself have done. Oh well, we really shouldn't keep standing here when we should be looking for him. But before we go, just tell me 3 things about him you like. Haku told her. This one simple request would forever affect Sakura in ways she couldn't possibly predict right then and there. At that moment, all the pinkett wanted was to not walk away the bad guy and have this girl who was clearly stronger than her have a legitimate reason to hurt her. Haku clearly wanted to be friends with Naruto, and anyone who came across as his enemy would likely earn her discord. He's caring enough to not hold grudges, though I don't understand why. He's never boring to be around, even if he is annoying. And, now Sakura looked and sounded like she was struggling. I know I can trust him. Haku took this in, looking at Sakura in a way that made the younger Kunoichi felt she was being evaluated for her answers. Fine, thank you. Now let's go find him and you can see for yourself what else you think you know about him. What do you mean? Sakura asked, but Haku already got into the trees, requiring Sakura to follow the former Kiri resident and repeat the question. It sounds to me like you don't really know Naruto as well as you thought you do. The fact you struggled to give me 3 examples of his qualities and 2 of them came with commentary tells me you don't know him even if you know of him. Maybe you should spend more time trying to know him as a person instead of as just a teammate. After that Sakura said nothing, but Haku's words had quite an effect on her. Naruto, do I even know you at all? Hours went by and neither Kunoichi could find the whiskered blonde. They checked the woods, they checked the town, they even checked the shore, still nothing. It was as if Naruto vanished off the face of Wave Country. How can Naruto hide so well? Sakura asked herself. I mean, it should not be this hard to find a blonde boy wearing an orange jacket. The pinkett and her brunette partner had to stop and sit on a bench for a moment. Haku wheezed. I'll give him this. He's the best hider I've ever encountered. Forget that Where's Waldo guy, he couldn't hold a candle to Naruto. It's amazing. I mean, Naruto always wanted to be noticed back in Konoha and in the academy. I don't remember him ever being unnoticeable on purpose. It ever occurred to me that he might be good at hiding when he put his mind to it. But what could set him off so badly he'd want to be this alone? Haku asked. It had to be those women Kakashi-sensei was facing in the house. Somehow they did something that really hurt Naruto. I take it you don't know who they are. Sakura shook her head. Never seen them before. You don't have to wonder much longer. A woman told them, and both girls were surprised to see the two aforementioned women before them, with Kakashi alongside them. Kakashi-sensei, do you know who they are? Sakura asked. The masked Junin nodded. Yes. It took some convincing, and a good use of Kushina's chakra chains tying me up. He added silently to himself, but I know who she really is. This is Kushina Uzumaki, my sensei's wife, and Naruto's mother. Mother? Sakura and Haku asked. I know you both have a ton of questions for me and I will get to them when I can, but for now my top priority is finding my son. Your questions will be answered after that and no sooner. Both girls looked a bit stubborn, but they nodded. Thing is we have no idea and we've checked everywhere we can. Then obviously he'd hiding somewhere you can't check. The blonde woman next to Kushina answered. Name's Freya by the way, no relation to Naruto but Kushina's a good friend of mine. And if Naruto is what we think he is then that's something I must see for myself. What do you think he is? Kakashi asked. Does it have something to do with that white armor of his? Sakura asked. We'll answer everything when we find him. I dislike having to repeat myself. Freya told them. I'm sorry, what was that? Haku asked, cleaning her ear for a moment. I said I dislike having to. Freya started, but stopped when she saw Haku's playful grin. Nice try, girl. Most people wouldn't try that with me. Haku-san, I suggest you not bother this nice lady here. She's above your level. Kakashi told the Hyoten user. Haku was smart enough to not press the issue, so instead she asked a different question. How do you plan to find him when we can't? The way he found him here. We trace his power. Freya answered. Like a sensor? Sakura asked. Sort of. My son's power has a specific feel to it so in a chakra sense he stands out like a sore thumb with an infection on a giant hand. That's how we find him. Kushina told her. Freya closed her eyes and it looked like a light wind was blowing around her, but no one felt any themselves. Then the wind faded and she opened her eyes. I found him. Where is he? Sakura and Haku immediately asked, standing right up quite quickly. In one of the only places two teenage girls would never think to look for someone. A cemetery. A cemetery. Sakura repeated. Why would he be in a cemetery? Who goes to a grave looking for a living person? Haku commented, seeing the reasoning. Well, what are we doing still here? Let's go already. Kushina said impatiently. Kakashi chuckled. Nice to see that hasn't changed about you. Within 10 minutes the group found their way to the nearest cemetery, some graves clearly fresher than others. And on more than 24 graves there were white poppies among other mementos that probably had more personal meanings to the deceased. These must be all the people Gato was responsible for the deaths of. Haku said, looking over the graves. There he is. Sakura told everyone, pointing to a tree in the middle of the graveyard. Sure enough, up in the branches there was Naruto, and he looked peacefully asleep. Let's get him down but without waking him. Kakashi said. I'll do it since he might not respond positively if he does wake up and I may be the one least likely to aggravate him further. Kushina looked sad but nodded, and Kakashi slowly climbed the tree and picked up her resting son. My baby boy, Even if the Allfather forbids it, I will never leave you again. I will be for you what I couldn't be before, and help you become what you are meant to be. Freya looked at the redhead and with difficulty held her tongue. I know what you're thinking, Kushina, but I'm afraid it won't be as easy as you using your parental rights. This boy has something no mortal was ever meant to have, especially a male, and I'm no convinced he should have it. Friend or not, if I decide your son is unworthy of the Valkyrie power, I will kill him myself and send him to Niflheim. You too if you get in my way, my subordinate. Naruto woke up close to midnight, not aware he had been returned to Tezuna's house. The first thing he noticed was that he was laying on something soft, not the branch of a tree, and he felt no form of breeze. Remaining silent, he let his eyes adjust to the darkness and saw he was back into the house of the bridge builder. How did I get back here? He quietly asked. All of a sudden there was a click sound and a lamp had been turned on. Naruto turned that way by reflex and let his eyes readjust to the light. When he could see, he saw Kakashi sitting in a chair right next to the lamp and the desk it was on. Glad to see you didn't wait until daylight to wake up. The Junin told his student. Did you bring me back, sensei? Technically, no, but I was there when you were brought back. Then, who did it? Naruto asked, not understanding the phrasing. Naruto, I have something to tell you, but first I need you to promise me two things. Kakashi said, ignoring the question. Like what? First, promise me no yelling. There are people here trying to sleep and it wouldn't be very nice to disrupt that. Second, please answer any and all questions I have to give you first, since there apparently are things I need to learn from you as well. Naruto blinked in confusion. You need me to teach you something? No, just inform me of a situation I have no knowledge of. I want to help you, but to do that I need to know what got under your skin and why. Can you promise me this? Naruto frowned. What's there to say? That woman. Naruto, can you promise me the things I requested? Kakashi pressed. The whiskered blonde looked very hesitant. Fine, I'll shut up and answer your damn questions. This subject really hit a sore spot with him. Kakashi thought. Naruto, I only really have one question for you. Why did you act the way you did this morning? Naruto frowned deeply, much deeper than any time he had been overlooked in favor of Sasuke, which were the only times most people had ever seen him frown. How the hell was I supposed to react? A strange woman shows up pretending to be my mother and I'm not allowed to be pissed off. Yeah, right. How do you know she's pretending? Kakashi asked. Of course she is, Kakashi-sensei. My mother is dead, and even if she was somehow still alive she obviously hates me and wants not a damn thing to do with me. And how do you know that? Kakashi asked again. Don't give me that, Kakashi-sensei. It's been 12 years. 12 years. Naruto stressed, coming very close to screaming despite his promise. If I mattered to her even a little she would have given me some kind of sign about it. 12 years and I got jack squat. If my mother isn't dead, she might as well be dead as far as I'm concerned. He stopped for a moment to stop himself from exploding, and Kakashi said nothing for a time. Naruto, I apologize if it sounded like I was undermining you. To tell you the truth, I can understand exactly why you'd come to that conclusion. It's not uncommon among orphans. But you've never been the type to get this angry, so seeing this behavior in you is quite unexpected. It almost sounds like something similar to this has happened to you before. Did it? Naruto looked away. I've spent years trying to forget that. Don't make me talk about it. Naruto, take it from me, after something terrible happens you can't pretend it didn't. You can mourn it, you can compensate for it, you can try to ensure it never happens again, but you cannot let yourself forget about it. If you do, then what's to prevent it from happening again? It is happening again, Naruto argued, making the Junin more suspicious and curious, and dreadful of what he wasn't hearing. Naruto, did someone once pretend to be your parent in order to hurt you? Kakashi asked carefully. I know there are people that love to hurt him, but would any of them go that far to make him miserable? It certainly wasn't to help me. The blonde genin snorted, then sighed when he realized the Junin was not going to drop this tonight. It happened back when I lived in the orphanage. A woman with purple hair came to me smiling and said she was going to give me a home. She said she had found my real family and was going to take me to them. I was very confused, since no one who came by the orphanage even looked at me without glaring, and the ones working there made it clear no one ever would do anything else. They did that? Kakashi asked, hoping Naruto was exaggerating or speaking in anger. What kind of person running an orphanage actually tells a child they cannot be loved? They said it worse than I just did, but yes. So even though I was confused by the offer, I was glad to be able to get away from that hellhole. He then sighed and still refused to make eye contact. Until that night. What happened? Kakashi carefully asked, sounding like a cop interrogating a child in a case. I must have blacked out, because I don't remember most of that night. But I remember the woman taking me to a building saying she was going to introduce me to my family. I saw a man she called her husband and a purple-haired girl my age she called her daughter, and then, she kicked me right in the nose. There was a gasp heard, and Naruto turned his head left and right. Who did that? That was me, Naruto. You just couldn't see it because of my mask, that and the fact you weren't looking at me. Now do you know why she would do that? Naruto shrugged. Probably for the same reason everyone else who's tried to kill me does it. Damn furball. Did she or the others say anything? Kakashi continued. I'm not sure. I was hit pretty hard by that kick and don't remember anything for the rest of that day. But I think the girl was screaming. Do you know who any of them were? Kakashi asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, but I was asked not to tell anyone. The girl, she doesn't like remembering that day either. Do you still see her? Naruto nodded. On occasion, but we never talk about that day. The fewer people who know about it the better, just like the Kyuubi, right sensei? Kakashi stiffened as if nervous. Naruto, you shouldn't talk about such things even if you're sure no one else is listening. Why not, Kakashi sensei? You're the only one here. Naruto asked. Even if I am, you should make it a habit, Naruto, for future times. Ninja can have ears anywhere, so it's best not to give them something that shouldn't be heard. Naruto sighed. Like anyone cares what I say anyway. You don't really believe that, do you, Naruto? Kakashi asked, hoping his student was still venting. Naruto frowned. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't. Well, I think Sakura's warming up to you now. Naruto scoffed. Until Sasuke gets back on his feet. Then I'll just be an afterthought again. I'm glad she's being nice now, but I know it's just temporary. She left her best friend to devote her attention to Sasuke, her best friend. So why wouldn't she do the exact same thing to me? What about Haku? If she goes to Konoha with us, she won't want anything to do with me. Sooner or later she'll talk to someone who will tell her everything they say when they think I'm not listening, and more people will tell her the same. Why would she believe me over the entire population? Would you? Kakashi did not know how to answer that, so instead he continued his questioning. What about the Hokage? Surely you don't think he doesn't care about you? Sometimes I wonder. Naruto quietly answered. You can't be serious, Naruto. The Junin told him. Why not? Think about it, sensei. Before I was even a day old, he let the entire village know the Kyuubi was sealed inside me by the Yondaime. 12 years later and over half the population is still convinced I'm a monster. 12 years. What has he been doing to show them they're wrong and I'm not that damn fox, just the cage? Tell me, Kakashi sensei, Why did he let everyone know about me and the Kyuubi? And what exactly has he been doing over the past 12 years to prove them wrong about me? Kakashi sat rigid in his seat, as if nervous about something, then sighed and relaxed. Naruto, I'm not the one you should be asking that. Now, given the fact that you've had a stressful couple of days here, I'm not going to reprimand you for the things you're saying, which some people might take as slander against your team and Hokage. Only because I'm the one saying it. Naruto muttered. Well, what did I tell you about being careful about what you say even if no one's listening? Kakashi asked. Anyway, I'm going to consider this talk as some much needed venting of frustration and hope that by tomorrow you'll be back to normal. I recommend you either get some sleep or go outside and do some training if you're feeling a bit restless. Naruto nodded and stood up. But before you go, I have one thing to tell you. That woman that came by today claiming to be your mother. Not now, Kakashi-sensei. Anything but that. The whiskered blonde told the cycloptic Junin, fists trembling at his side. Kakashi slowly nodded. All right then, I'll save it for tomorrow. Go do what you've got to do to calm yourself down. Just keep it quiet. Naruto nodded and went outside. Once he was out, he just ran off out of sight. Kakashi sighed and turned on the lights in the room, revealing Sakura, Haku, and Kushina in the former darkness. That could have gone better. Kakashi-sensei, what did he mean by that stuff with the Kyuubi? Sakura asked, already having a good idea what he meant from what she heard, but she was hoping, no praying, that she was wrong. Sakura, what I'm about to tell you is absolute confidential. No one is allowed to say a word about it ever except for Naruto or the Hokage, under penalty of death. Haku-san, while I may not have jurisdiction over you, if I suspect you use this knowledge against Naruto, I'll kill you myself. The two girls nodded, too curious to object. The Kyuubi attacked Konoha 12 years ago and the Yondaime vanquished it. That part of the story is true. However, it's not the complete story. The Kyuubi was the most powerful demon known to man. Does it make sense that one man alone could defeat it? Sakura was momentarily silent. I never thought about that before. But you said he did do it. He did, but you were never told how. Using a very powerful fuinjutsu, he stripped the Kyuubi of its chakra and spirit to render it powerless, but all that had to go somewhere. The only place he could put it was in a seal he placed on Naruto's stomach. Naruto became the prison of the Kyuubi in the process, but to this day 4 out of 5 people that know this fact think of Naruto as the fox itself in human form or under the fox's control. They are wrong, but they will refuse to see it any other way until Naruto somehow proves them wrong. Sakura was stunned. Naruto had that done to him before he was even a day old. Was there really no better way? I've spent every day since then wishing there was, but our options were limited. Kushina said sadly, gaining their attention. I was there that day. I can tell you all that happened if you promise not to tell others. The girls nodded, and Kushina proceeded to tell them all the events of Naruto's birth. She held nothing back. The masked man, her own Jinchuriki status, the actions of Minato and herself, her final words to her son, everything. Wait, does that mean Naruto's father is the Yondaime? Sakura asked. Kushina nodded. Yes, he is. Next time you see my husband, you try to see the resemblance. But why would you do such a thing to your own son? Sakura asked. Kushina frowned. It wasn't like I wanted to. We planned to reseal Kyuubi inside myself, but the battle took a turn for the worst and neither of us were going to survive. At that point, the only thing we could do was seal him inside Naruto, since only an Uzumaki could successfully handle the burden and use of Kyuubi's chakra. Anyone else would have suffered irreparable damage to their chakra systems at best. Hate me if you must, but we were out of options. Wait, You said neither of you were going to survive. So how did you? Haku asked, noticing a hole in her story. Kushina stopped frowning and now looked forlorn. I didn't. But you had to, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now. Haku countered. Kushina shook her head. I didn't. I died. Then, you were somehow resuscitated. No. Then what are you? Some kind of ghost? Haku asked, not understanding her. You could say that. Hakua and Sakura had wide eyes, and on impulse Haku grabbed Kushina's outfit, feeling solid material. You're no ghost. You're solid. I'm not a true ghost, but I'm not alive. I'm a Valkyrie, a dead warrior spirit that serves the gods for when they need to go to war. I've never heard of such things. Haku stated. You'll find the truth about the world and the afterlife is barely what you've been led to believe it is. Wait, you're dead right? Sakura asked, and Kushina nodded. But apparently you can come back here, so why wait until right now to do so? Couldn't you have done it sooner when Naruto was younger and needed it more? Don't you think I would have done that if I could? Kushina asked, lightly frowning again. The dead are not meant to come and go as they please. The only reason I'm here now is because my son did something very unexpected and the Allfather wanted me and Freya to come here and inspect it. Then what? You'll get your answers then go away. Do you care about your son at all? Kushina right away grabbed Sakura's collar and lifted her up. Don't you dare tell me I don't care about my son. I sacrificed my life so he could live, and apparently the rest of the village have taken that sacrifice for granted. And from what I heard, so have you. I'm not going to let a little girl who only likes my son when no one else is around talk to me like she has a moral high ground. Before Naruto woke up, Kakashi managed to inform Kushina of what happened to Naruto after her death. Even though it was an abridged yet honest version, it infuriated Kushina to know that the village her husband led and died for had so little respect for him that most of them barely gave his dying wish consideration. Kushina threatened to unleash Ragnarok on Konoha, and even though Kakashi didn't know what that meant, he didn't like the implication. Right now it appeared that the single biggest thing keeping Kushina from causing bloodshed was the fact Naruto was here and Konoha wasn't, but once that changed even the former Anbu couldn't guarantee what she might do. Kushina wasn't called red hot for nothing. Seeing the pink it was scared, the Uzumaki matriarch let her go. All I want to do is help my son and be what I wasn't allowed to be, there for him. I need to be his mother and his teacher, but I need to get him to listen to me first. If any of you care about him at all, you'll help me do that. Any ideas? Kakashi asked. We have to address that carefully. Naruto's a fragile person when he's angry. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked. Sakura, you've only seen Naruto's mask. You've never seen Naruto when he was at one of his low points. You see him act happy and carefree and you assume he's just being immature or stupid. The fact is he has to act that way because it's the only way to keep him from thinking about his misfortune. If he dwells on the fact that he has no parents, no friends, none of the things that make you smile, he'd try to kill himself. In fact, I've seen him try. What? The three women asked him. Kakashi nodded. I once caught him drinking a bottle of bleach, and not by accident. I got to him and managed to induce vomiting and still struggled to pump his stomach. He was passed out, and I ended up taking him to the hospital. From what I heard, his first words upon regaining consciousness were, "Why won't I die?" Sakura, Haku, and Kushina gasped, and all three shed a tear for him, Kushina crying the most. Naruto's not like Sasuke Sakura. He doesn't sulk in his pain. He ignores it because when he does sulk, that is what he does. He looks for a way to just end it. Or at least he did. He's tried other ways to kill himself but none worked. The only way he hasn't tried is letting people in Konoha kill him themselves, and that's because he won't give them that satisfaction. Nothing he's done has worked, like the Kyuubi won't let him die. So Naruto is basically forced to live through a nightmare. He smiles and acts like nothing's wrong because it's the only way to make his life tolerable. Can you imagine living a life where every day people tell you they wish you were dead? And so few people tell you they're happy to see you. Odds are even you'd consider killing yourself too. I know that feeling. Haku mentioned. Sakura looked between Haku and Kakashi and even glanced at Kushina for a moment, during which she didn't say a word. Then suddenly, she ran out of the room and into the nearest bathroom. What's wrong with her? Haku asked. Kakashi could hear the sound of retching. I think she understands the gravity of the situation. Naruto was back in the clearing where he first met Haku, there only because it was the only place he could think to go right now. At the moment he was fighting with his clones in what couldn't at all be considered a spar. A more accurate description was just beating the crap out of someone. Naruto was just so angry and emotional he had to get it out of his system. He was good at suppressing his negative emotions, but this was one of those times where he just couldn't anymore and had to vent. With nothing else to vent on, he created a bunch of clones and they all proceeded to just hit each other senseless. Physical pain was better to experience than emotional pain since it faded quicker in his eyes. After 2 minutes, all clones were gone and Naruto was on the ground panting and sore, and still angry. So he created more clones and started it all over again. This time it only lasted 1 minute and Naruto was starting to bleed, but he still wasn't satisfied. I like a battle as much as the next veneer, but this is just self-abuse. Freya noted as she stepped out of the foliage. Kushina requested she wait outside Tazuna's house and observe Naruto if the boy left the house for any reason. Naruto saw her and was in no mood for interacting with anyone right now. Get lost. My, few men have the balls to talk to me like that. I like you boy, but I need to see what you can do. Want me to tell you what you really are? I know what I am. An unwanted, unloved, nobody. You've got self-worth issues. I'm going to have to work on that. Not good to have a Valkyrie that hates themselves. A what? Naruto asked, not understanding her. That's what you are, son of Kushina Uzumaki. You are a Valkyrie. A living and male Valkyrie too, something that until yesterday never existed. But if you cooperate and listen to me, you could become quite possibly the most powerful mortal in the realm of Midgard. You could become quite possibly the most powerful mortal in the realm of Midgard. Freya smiled after saying that, waiting to see his reaction. Why would I want that? Huh? Freya asked, genuinely confused by that question. Why wouldn't you? All I want is enough power to protect myself and those I care about. That way my enemies can no longer get to me or those close to me. Why would I need more than that? Naruto clarified. Well, if you're the strongest then you won't have to be afraid of losing when you can't risk it. Freya explained. And how would I know if I was the strongest? Naruto asked. To be honest, you never truly know. You just keep on going and have the strength to back up your claims. But if you can keep doing it without fail, then you can say you're the strongest. Naruto looked a bit settled. That there sounds more my style, but I'm much more interested in what you have to say about what I did today. What was it again? You my boy are the most unusual thing I've ever seen, a living male Valkyrie. A what? A Valkyrie, a soldier of the gods who fights on the front line and as part of the first wave in times of war for the divine. Valkyries are very powerful and well trained, and capable of much. A single Valkyrie is a force to be reckoned with, but a platoon of them is an unstoppable force and an unmovable object, depending on the role it performs. Wow! Was all the blonde could say. However, all Valkyries have two things in common. The first is that they are spirits of the dead who are deemed suitable for the gods' purposes. And second, they are always women. You on the other hand are alive and a man. Such a thing is supposed to be impossible, and yet here you are. You sure it's impossible? Freya nodded. Yes boy, this is not supposed to happen. I would know better than most, since I'm one of those in charge of the Valkyrie army. What? Naruto asked. Freya nodded again, this time with a smile. Allow me to properly introduce myself. I am Freya, goddess of warfare, nature, love, and more. A goddess? Freya nodded. One of many, but I'm one of the highest in rank. I came here because your little power display caught a lot of attention back home, and I had to see for myself what kind of person could invoke this power that should be off limits to those like you. You gonna kill me for being something I had no say in? Naruto asked, getting defensive thanks to years to persecution. If I believe you intend to misuse this power, then yes. But for now, I'm much more interested in seeing if you can use this for the right reasons. Freya told him. Besides, your mother would be very cross if I were to kill you so quickly and simply. Naruto's flinch was quite obvious. There's no way that woman can be my mother. How do you know? Have you ever seen your mother? No. Do you even know her name? No. Then how can you be so completely certain she is not your mother? Freya asked. She just can't be. Naruto stated firmly. Freya rolled her eyes. Oh, terrific reason. How stupid of me to not think of that. Wow. Goddesses can be sarcastic. Naruto sarcastically replied. Freya then got serious. Kid, the fact is you don't know. You can't know. You're just telling yourself this because you're afraid of the implications if what I say is true. I am not afraid. Naruto challenged. Yes you are. The blonde woman countered. You're afraid of what her appearance means. You're afraid that she just abandoned you and is only now appearing for a reason that isn't good for you at all. You want to know why she left you, but you're afraid of what her answer might be, so you're refusing to give her a chance to say it. Naruto just frowned. I'm angry, not afraid. The goddess shook her head. No, you're angry because you're afraid. It's a preemptive emotional strike. Attack before you get attacked. As a goddess of love and war, one know this behavior very well. I'm finding your goddess claim a bit hard to believe. If you truly are one, prove it. Are you truly sure you would want to see? Gods and goddesses have so much more power than mere mortals. Seeing it displayed can hurt a weak mortal. Freya said as Naruto looked more curious. I said prove it, or are you a sham? The genin said with ferocity. Freya smiled at this, as this is what she preferred with a soldier. You certainly are gutsy for a mortal. Very well, I shall prove it, but only with a small show of my power. Too much might destabilize the entire region. She answered. Suddenly the trees around them both moved on their own, emerging from the ground walking on their roots. Before he could react, their branches quickly bound Naruto, keeping him immobile. All the while she never moved and her hands were too far apart to use any form of jutsu. What do you think of that? Freya asked, smirking, pleased with herself. Makes me think you're related to the Shodai Hokage, not a goddess. Naruto retorted. Naruto may not have been an expert on many things, but he was quite informed of the past Hokages. He learned so he'd know how best to do the job when he got it. Wow, mortals are getting harder to impress. In the old days all we had to do is create a little thunder and lightning and your kind was willing to sacrifice animals to us. But if you need more, I can show you more. All of a sudden, gray cats appeared in what looked like air itself, glowing and shimmering, as if some mirrored ball was right where the cats actually were. And these were no ordinary cats. They were the size of mountain lions, and if it weren't for their domestic appearance Naruto would swear they were just that. At the same time, Freya herself shimmered in a light and her clothes slowly transformed as she still wore them. Her blue tunic dress turned into golden metal armor with arm guards, all sculpted to fit a woman's body and make her look tough, with blue mesh armor covering what the gold armor didn't. What stood out the most was clearly her necklace, which looked like it had jewels made of crystallized fire. Now are you convinced? Naruto thought for a moment before responding. For now I guess I'll believe you. Good. Now, I want you to listen to me. If you don't, my little pets here will make you. Naruto felt the safe thing to do here was remain silent, which he could do if he wanted to believe it or not. Freya sensed this and continued. Now, I come from what you might call heaven. We call it Asgard. Anyway, some dead mortals are selected to go to Asgard instead of the underworld. Not just any mortal gets this though. No, we choose honorable warriors that impress us with their skills and principles. Men go to Valhalla, but women go to Sessrumnir, where I rule. In short, I'm the goddess in charge of an entire army of women warriors which are called the Valkyrie. Wow, Naruto said, a bit impressed. Thank you. Now, I tell you this for two reasons. I already told you the first, because you are somehow gifted with Valkyrie power. The second is because Sessrumnir is where your mother has been since your birth. I'm sorry, but your mother did in fact die the day you were born. She at least died bravely in battle and was quite a valiant warrior in life, so I granted her admittance into the Valkyrie forces. She couldn't be there for you in the past because she couldn't leave Asgard, but she is here right now for you. Naruto looked away, trying not to look hurt. Why should I believe you? He sounded sad, not angry. The real question is why shouldn't you? Freya asked back. Kid, you have no way to really prove me wrong, and I don't really have much to gain by lying to you. But whether you believe me or not, the fact is I and my companion are the only two beings in this realm that can teach you about your powers. So I suggest you put your martyrdom aside and listen so you don't become a real martyr. If you really know my mother, just answer one question. Naruto responded, his eyes covered by a shadow making him look quite forlorn. Shoot. Did she love me? Why don't you ask her that yourself? Kushina quietly asked as she emerged from behind Naruto and the trees still binding him in place. Naruto's first reaction might have been to ignore her at best or verbally attack her at worst, if Freya hadn't made him think first. Now he was starting to wonder, could this woman really be his mother? Kushina looked at her son, eyes brimming with tears. Naruto, you have no idea how sad I am for what happened to you, and how glad I am to have this chance to see you again. You look so much like your father. Would you like to see him? My father. Is he dead too? Kushina sadly nodded. I can bring him here for you to see for a bit. Kushina, that might not be the best idea. Freya warned. Kushina shook her head. Consider it a demonstration of one of his powers, and besides, you know a better person to summon. Freya closed her eyes but didn't look unhappy. Do as you wish. Kushina nodded and smiled. Come to me, my Einherjar. Minato rise to battle. Her hands glowed white, then she clapped them together without separating them. A sudden small gust of wind was felt, and to Kushina's right the image of a man shimmered into existence like something invisible slowly being focused into visibility. When it could be seen, Naruto saw a tall man with spiky blonde hair wearing a red shirt, black pants, and a yellow jacket that looked like it was a cloak as well. It was a man Naruto recognized right away, even if he had never actually met the man in person, as far as he knew. No way. No freaking way. Naruto. Is that you? The aforementioned blonde's eyes shifted between the man and woman in front of him. You're trying to tell me, the Yondaime Hokage, is my father? You were never told? Minato asked. Kushina turned to her husband. From what Kakashi told me, the best thing he's ever been told about us was that we weren't gutter trash, but virtually the entire city wants him to think otherwise. What? Minato asked. Naruto clenched his eyes shut. This can't be true. You're lying to me. There's no possible way the Yondaime could be my father. Naruto. Shut up. I don't know why you're doing this, but there's no way this is true. Stop. Naruto shouted, but was cut off when a tree limb moved to cover his mouth. He could still breath, but any talking was now muffled. Boy, I suggest you listen for once. I know you're afraid, but if you give them a chance you might find out something important. Freya told him. Kushina and Minato looked hurt for their son but didn't free him from this entrapment. Son, I know people have said some nasty things about you and your origins. I can promise you that they are dead wrong. We are your parents and we love you. We've never stopped, even in death. Kushina told him.